Okay, great. So this is our first attempt.
Yeah.
Okay, this is kind of weird. But okay, here's the opening. Hello, this is our new show. Uh, and the name is Normal People Problems, as in the bio. We're people, not sure about normal, but we do have a lot of problems. Just normal people problems. And so, yeah, we can discuss all the shared topics of, I don't know, corporate burnout, heartbreaks, family trauma, or tennis struggles, whatever. I'm Shufei. I live in Vancouver now. I'm from Shanghai. I wandered a bit around the world. Have too many hobbies and not good in any of them. And I met Glenda in Melbourne and during my exchange semester, and we became really good friends afterwards. And I always enjoyed talking with Glenda. So many deep talks and so inspiring, and she is an amazing writer. So please check out her work, 2 a.m. Adventure. I felt super, super related, and all the friends I recommended this article to, they felt so related as well. So yeah, hi Glenda.
Hi. Thank you so much for firstly introducing yourself. And I agree. I still think I keep the memories of our time together in Melbourne very close to my heart. To briefly introduce myself, so I do live in Melbourne. I've lived here all my life. If you can't tell by my voice, I'm
Until
Australian.
now.
That's right. So I am also a normal person with normal people problems. I've been working a corporate job for the last 5 years of my life after uni. I do write in my spare time. And I think if it weren't for a few things in my life, including family pressure, I probably would have pursued writing a little bit more full time. But yeah, I really appreciate your call out, Shuvei, about my writing. And yeah, I'm looking forward to just chatting today about our first topic.
Yay. And also congrats on Glenda on almost being independent, taking her first solo trip to Europe and stuff like that. Yay!
Thank you. It's the classic, late 20s quarter life crisis. You either run a marathon or you go to Europe or it's like, you decide to do like an Ironman or something. There's always something.
Triathlon.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yes. So this first episode will be Heartbreak Detectives because I just recently had a heartbreak, sadly. And then on the day of the heartbreak, I had a call with Glenda. And by the way, I felt so much better afterwards. So thank you. And a lot of inspiring
Thank you.
thoughts and stuff came up during the talk. So we thought maybe it would be interesting to make this episode about heartbreaks. And we will be reading our heartbreak letters, like after breakup letters, and talk about the heartbreaks. And so this is our first attempt of trying to make a podcast. So this might be the first attempt of many successful 100 episodes, or this could be the first and last one. So yeah, fingers crossed. So yeah, I can read my first heartbreak letter.
I mean, maybe
Uh,
before you start, do you want to give like as much as you're comfortable with, but maybe a little bit of context around, I guess, the relationship, like where you were kind of for the duration of the relationship with this other person, like what kind of stage of life you're going through. Yeah, I'd like I think it would be really helpful to get a little bit of like context.
Yeah, for sure. So it's kind of a recent heartbreak. While I logically understand that we're different people and it's meant to be this way, whatever, still like my body has this shitty feeling, even though my brain
Hmm.
understands. As you said, logics only
Hmm.
go so far and we're only humans. So yeah, how it started, it was kind of cute. I joined a amateur band last year,
Yeah.
last
Wow.
summer.
Yes.
Thank you. I am a bad drummer, so we had to like practice for this show in like I joined in August and the show was in end of October. And I was I'm still not very good, but I was a lot worse back then. And then he's the bassist, and he
Right.
picked
Yes.
some challenging songs. They were really cool, but the
Mhm.
drum parts were challenging for me at the time. So every day I had to go after work to practice 2 hours drum in like a
Yeah.
rehearsal studio close to my office. And you know, rehearsal studios are expensive to book.
Yeah, you gotta make the most of your time there, you know? You're paying by the
Exactly.
hour.
Exactly. And then every time when I was practicing, it was so challenging. But I was thinking inside, like, he's the bassist, of course. Like, his parts are so easy. Nobody will even hear the bass, just typical bass jokes. And then, yeah, I was kind of salty about him without him knowing that. But at the
Right.
end, we did the show, and I was kind of happy because it turned out to be really cool, and I committed to this project, and people coming to tell me, "Wow, that was so cool." It's not just that's it's like some. So yeah, I was grateful for that. I appreciate him for giving me this chance to. Also, like on the day of the show, he kind of helped me from being talked to by a creepy kind of guy. I don't know. So that also adds on some bonus points. And then I remember we were just texting a lot. And then I remember there's one day we were driving together to meet a single girl. Oh, three of us became really good friends after the show. And we
Yeah.
talked a lot. And they came to, I invited them over to my place during the holiday season with other
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
And I remember one day we were driving to the single girl. And then he's like, giving me his phone. He's like, "Oh, yeah, my friend is like, a job interview frustration, blah, blah, blah." So I said, "Oh, you can tell him this and that to comfort him." He's like, "Oh, maybe you can type. I'm driving." I was like, "Oh,
Right.
cool." Then I started typing, and then his friend
Wow, just gave
immediately
you his
recognized.
phone.
Exactly. He recognized it was me, not him, and then he was just like, "So, what's the deal between you two?" And he's into you or something like that. And my brain was just like, and then I just
Wow.
tossed the phone back to him like it's hot
Yeah.
potato or something. And then
Yeah, yeah.
he said, "Oh, what's up?" And I couldn't process, so I just
Yes.
said what his friend said. And he's like, I was like, And he was like, "He's bullshitting." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 he is." And he's like, I'm not." I was like, "No, no, 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 you're not." So that was pretty sweet and funny, and it was awkward silence the whole way.
Yes.
And
I just
yeah,
want
so
to take a moment to appreciate the absolute wingman of a friend who, obviously firstly detected that it was you and not him who was messaging.
yeah.
And then secondly decided that that would be the perfect time. And he obviously would have known that both of you were there because there's no other reason that you would have his phone. And then just spontaneously decided that was the perfect time to just spring it on you that this guy, this guy was interested. So yeah, yeah,
Wow.
that's a great story.
You're very logical. You're the true heartbreak detective. Yeah, so yeah, like you said, thanks, just friends. Yeah, so that's nice. But afterwards, I guess like since establishing this kind of new relationship, we were away for kind of a long time. And so it wasn't very steady. And at the end
Right.
it became weird, and he told me how it ended was he told me that he thinks he likes me but couldn't afford the attention I need. But right after the breakup, he suddenly really wanted to try to come back and talk to
Right.
me.
Right.
But that's when I wrote down this like kind of angry event letter. Yeah, so disclaimer, it's just because I wrote this down on the third day of after the breakup. So
Right.
it doesn't do him justice. He's a nice person, but maybe just confused. But also after reading this letter that I wrote myself, I feel like maybe it's a good thing he didn't get to talk to me, because otherwise he would have needed a therapist or something. Okay. So this is the third day after the breakup. Is it because I've been too nice to you during the past 6 months that you forgot I am so smart and so brutal? Why is it so easy for me that I don't seem sad because I feel relieved? I made my demands and I hope you care, but you couldn't do it. I gave you chances and I gave you endless empathy to guide you and comfort you, but you don't see it and you toss it all away. And when you have problems with me, you go and ask your friends, is it normal for girls to do blah, blah, blah? And without just asking me, and you made the decisions and you regret and you cry and beg for another chance. The real you is so lazy and stupid, greedy and cowardly. You are not special. I made you special. The night when you said you were not feeling confident enough, I comforted you and said we can work together on it. And you told me just let it be, let it go. I'm afraid keeping this way is hurting you. Wow, now you woke up and you're ready to hurt me again, and you suddenly feel confident? In all the distant days, I felt lonely. I gave you endless empathy, tried to understand you, make efforts to communicate. I told myself when you're done with your stuff, it will be all good. And you couldn't walk into my heart because of your superficial brain. And you don't want to listen to my problems, my life. You don't even want to listen to me talk at all. You'd rather play YouTube ads as you wish. In all the time that you didn't want to exist, I went on and be myself, do my own things. Friends hang out, running, tennis, startup ideas, discussion with friends, to not disturb you too much. And now I realize yeah, yes, I am indeed important to you because I'm always teaching you new stuff, helping you, treating you with my true heart, and trying to take you to have fun, go on adventures. And you, my dear, you don't really matter much to me, maybe. Maybe it doesn't even make a difference. What I'm mad about when I think back, why did I waste all those time and sincerity and effort? Our sex wasn't even that good. But none of these matters anymore because I realize maybe we don't love each other. Maybe that's the answer to why you always had a hard time saying, I love you. Is it any surprise? I'm smart and beautiful and ambitious. I have a whimsical mind, curiosity for the world, and kindness at heart. Oh, yeah. And did I mention I speak 4 languages and travel the world? I don't have patience for some little boy who's ashamed of me and had to hide me from their family. Someone who couldn't pick up my car because mom's in the room now. I'm too good and too busy for that. Then again, maybe none of this matters anymore. Please go on and live your own life. Take care.
Wow. Thank you for sharing the letter. Like, I can feel when you read it, the weight of the emotions, you know? Like, that there's obviously like a lot of frustration, like also kind of a lot of anger kind of thing. And like how did you feel when you got it all down on paper kind of thing? And did you like obviously it wasn't necessarily intended to be read by him kind of thing. But yeah, did you feel like do you remember what it felt like when you were like writing it out? And yeah, like what do you think now looking back on it as well a little bit later? Do you have any new kind of like thoughts or reflections about it?
Yeah, I was really grumpy. I just like yeah, like I mentioned in the letter, I was even thinking like, okay, then why was I wasting the time for like if he's such a person, and like getting to see in the end. But right now I feel actually okay. Like I'm peace and love.
Um, and I mean, you mentioned the idea of like, I mean, there's the idea of I just remember the word where you mentioned like I have a whimsical mind kind of thing, and that was one of the phrases that you used in the letter.
Yeah.
Which is I wanted to touch on that briefly because this whole idea of there can be someone who can fulfill on paper all of the things
Yeah.
that you would think you'd need in a relationship. And I think this is a journey a lot of people go through in their 20s where it's kind of like when you first start dating, you think you know what you want and you
Yeah.
think you know exactly what type of person would be a good partner for you. And then
Yeah.
suddenly you get into your first relationship and, besides maybe the lucky ones who landed on their life partner, their forever person the first time. I think a lot of people kind
Yeah.
of find out through experience that some of the traits that they thought were important. So, whether that's related to physical traits or it's related to like other things, but you kind of find that a lot of those things end up taking a back seat when it comes to the everyday realities of a relationship. And little things
Exactly.
like, how do you prefer to text with another person? Like, how do they act when it comes to like paying and like splitting the bill and what is the split kind of thing? Like, how do they treat service staff, like the people around kind of thing, your own friends? Like, there are a lot of things that you don't necessarily look for because we've all been brought up with that kind of rom-com idea of what
Exactly.
kind of person is best for us. And just hearing your letter, like, do you feel like there was this thing about, yes, the relationship was kind of great on paper, and there was this very like the meet cute you mentioned, whereas literally like you were both in the same band kind of thing, and that's how you met, which is a
Yeah.
very kind of like, rom-com, like, it's a very cute kind of like start of the relationship. But yeah.
Yeah, I just it's it's a kind of cute start, and it's still cute and sweet to think about, but even, like, when starting the relationship or before, I've already noticed that we're very different people, and I think I mentioned, like, last week during my tennis class, the tennis grandpa coach was saying, yeah, to find someone who understands you, and I was almost about to cry. Someone
Yeah.
who understands you, 'cause
Yeah.
that's what I need, and he doesn't. So, yeah, when you talk about your theory of the thing, that really, like, touched me. Please
Yeah,
please
yeah.
talk about it again.
Yeah, sure, sure. So, basically, over my own dating experiences over the years, I've like come up with this theory which I call like which I now think is a necessity for me to get into a relationship with anyone, and it's
Mhm.
that they have what I call the thing. I've been on a lot of dates. I've been on a lot of dating apps over the years. Like I've kind of done the whole course of, friends of friends, parties, hobbies. Like I've put in a lot of effort over the years to try and kind of intentionally find someone else, like find a partner. And I do feel like one thing that I've noticed is that there's just some level of connection that you only have with certain people. I remember talking with one
Mhm.
of my friends about this once, and she kind of said that she firstly likes it when people are kind of, in her words, she was like, "I like it when people are kind of weird." Like, you like it when people are a little bit, like, eccentric, like, when they have
Whimsical.
yeah, like, when they're whimsical, like, when they're happy to say thoughts that, and it can seem really random. Like, I remember seeing the other day a video of the guy on TikTok kind of thing, and he basically had a 2-minute video explaining why salt was the basis of the Roman Empire, kind of, because apparently everybody used to trade in salt, like that was their currency. Like, wars have been held over it. Like, it's the only edible rock that we have
Wow.
as people. And he went on this 2-minute just rant talking about why, and we have a lot of words that come from salt now with the SAL, like whether it's like salad, like salary. There's a lot of things that, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I just remember watching that video and being like, I think he's got the thing. Like, you could probably find other words to describe it, like natural curiosity for the world around you kind of thing, like the
Nerdy.
ability, yeah, nerdy, like the ability to explore intellectually, like different concepts in the world around you. And there's kind of just that desire to do more than just kind of experience, because I think it's important to me that someone I'm seeing doesn't want to just like have life happen to them. Like I'd want someone who, and that doesn't necessarily mean you want a really complicated life. Like it doesn't mean you want to move countries every 2 years kind of thing and then live on a boat like on the ocean or something, like, go sailing around the world. But it's a bit more like you don't let the world pass by you and you kind of question and interrogate the reasons why things are. It's like you don't just take it on first glance. And I think that was
That's so
something that,
beautiful. Don't let the world pass by you. That is so
yeah.
beautiful.
And I think, when I was in my early 20s, I would be a bit more like, is this person attractive? Like, do they make me feel butterflies kind of thing? Is this a guy who's going to be generous and kind of and funny and kind? And like, sure, those are all still traits that I look for. But I do find that as I've evolved and as I've learnt what I like and don't like in relationships, this idea of the other person needing to have the thing has only grow because if you like, I think, in fact, one of the things I've realized is most important to me in a relationship is this idea of you don't need someone who makes life more exciting because often life isn't exciting, if that makes, like, I don't know, like
Mm,
often life is just kind of washing the dishes and then like folding the laundry and kind of like,
yeah.
and paying the bills and paying it, getting the rent paid. Often
Mhm.
life by nature is not always going to be like, it can't be exciting every day. But if it's someone who can bring excitement into everyday life, like someone who you can go to the shops with or do small things with, and they make that fun. Like, I think I realized more than anything that that's what's important to me. And yeah, I call
'Cause
this thing the
yeah,
thing
your
because, sorry, no, you go.
sorry, I was gonna say, 'cause your life is like 30,000 days, everyday life. It's those boring, tedious life, they are our norm.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And as much as we'd like to, and we're also like fed the idea through social media and stuff that everybody's constantly living like the highlights of their life every single day. But I guess the reality is that most of the time we can't always be on holiday and we can't always be
Adventure.
like, yeah, like we can't always be like dressed up in a gorgeous dress, like on our way to a fancy dinner. Like, there are a lot of things in life where it is just every day. Um, and I think if you can find someone who makes the everyday still feel interesting, then you found someone who's pretty compatible, who's pretty good for you in the long run.
Exactly.
But but yeah, that's why I call it the thing. I also feel like it's because it's so hard to like what even is a word to describe what it is. And often it's kind of just a feeling. Like you can't really like measure how much someone is curious or, how much they're open-minded or how much they
They
like
click with you.
yeah, exactly. So sometimes it's just like it's almost as hard to explain as why you can be physically attracted to someone because it's like sometimes you just can't explain. It's just like they are. And
Yeah.
so I feel like that's why I call it the thing because it's like so hard to like it's so hard to quantify. Like how do you give that a measure? You can't put that on a scale and be like this person has like the thing with a 7 out of 10, you know? Like it's kind of like I think sometimes it's either there or it's not. Yeah. Yeah.
Clickability
Yeah,
index.
clickability. That's a good one.
But I know it's so hard, and sometimes I think about that too, like, would I ever have that? Would I ever have that again? And I really love the
Mm.
way you told me last week, like, something like, I would rather go through 1,000 heartbreaks over and over and just to find that person with the thing. I don't remember if that's the right term, but yeah, that was so beautiful.
Thank you. It was probably along that lines, yeah. Like, sometimes I wonder if my standards are too high. I don't know if you've gone through the same thing, where you're kind of like, am I looking for too much? Especially when you have a person in front of you who
Yeah.
is good, Like it's not that they're not mean, they're not like abusive, like they treat you well. like that like they want the same things for the future. If you find someone like that, and it's like you kind of find someone who ticks all the boxes on paper, but you still feel like something's missing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, like, I don't know if you do this, but I feel like we often try to justify it to ourselves. Like, it's kind of like, oh, I feel like it would be unfair to this person or like
Mm,
to the people around us if I were to leave just because it doesn't, it doesn't completely feel right. Like, or like just
yeah.
because like this thing that I want, which is quite abstract, which is like this feeling of connection and someone understanding you, like it's not like sometimes it doesn't feel enough reason to want to leave. And
Yeah,
so
people
you
would
kind
just be like, "Oh, but you 2 are cute together."
yeah, and like you guys work well together and it's like,
Yeah.
everything kind of fits. So like why would you give this up kind of thing? But yeah, I think what I said to you last week was along the lines of like, I think it's okay, like more than okay. But like, I think it is okay to want that, to like, aspire to that and be like, I think this is what I want in my life. And it may be hard. And I'm not going
Yeah.
to, pretend that it's always realistic to want like someone
Yeah.
who like gets you on like, like a very, there's this random song by Dua Lipa, which is called Anything for Love. And in the song, like she basically like goes on this whole tangent about I don't actually know if I fully agree with the contention of the song because it's basically like we used to like do anything for love and now we don't anymore. Like some of her lyrics are like,
Yeah.
we're also scared of heartbreak. No one promises forever. Like, and if it's not perfect, like no one wants to stay together kind of thing. Like, it's this whole idea of how like dating has kind of become like shopping. And so you're like constantly looking for the next best person kind of thing, especially with online dating now. And she kind of goes back
That's
to this very
true.
old timey, like, do you remember like the olden days when it's like couples used to stick together even though they hated each other kind of thing. And
When
they
when
used to like
Roman Empire had salt.
yeah, 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 exactly. But there is one line that she says which I really like. I think it's like, "I want a mind that meets me equally." Like that's like one of the lines that she says in the song. It says, "And I'm not interested in a heart that doesn't beat for me. I want a mind that meets me equally. When it's hard, it won't ever feel like it's too much." And then she says, "Remember when
Oh,
we used to do anything for love?" And it's like, I really like that line. Like, I want a mind that meets me equally, kind of thing. And I think,
and the
like,
heart that beats for you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And sure, it's like a pretty cheesy, like relationships are never 100% of the time like
Yeah.
perfect. But I think especially as women, sometimes
Yeah.
we don't let ourselves aim for the highest version of a relationship that we want because we're told so many things about like you want to get married by a certain age, like you want to try and settle down and have kids by a certain age, like
And
and it's
nobody's
better.
perfect.
Yeah, and you're going to run out of time if you don't
Yeah.
like, and you're going to run out of options. And so
Yeah.
there's this whole idea that like we need to at some point accept compromise if we want to get these things done by a certain age.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, like, I feel like what I wanted to say to you was, like, I think it's okay to be like, "I don't want to settle, and if that means I have to lose out on having these milestones by a certain age, or even risk not getting them at all," kind of thing. I would rather wait and keep searching and keep meeting new people until I find someone who actually feel this level of connection with, who understands me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, like wait, I'm reading it in your notes, and then it's like it's point number 4, like saying like the even knowing we're not right, I gave my best shot. And then the whole thing about, get used to things that you don't have control over. Yeah, I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah, actually, exactly. That's also what I wanted to mention as I was like listening to you about when you talk about how women usually, they were taught to, even though if it's not like they're not clicking, they don't have the thing, but yeah, maybe just still try and just live with it.
Mhm.
So that's also one thing, I guess. I don't know if all girls are softer or kinder, but in this case, even though I knew that we were not like the same people, we're very different people, maybe we were not right for each other and stuff, I still giving my best shot and I chose to believe that it could be possible, that there could be potential. So maybe I
Right.
guess when it didn't turn out, I became disappointed and kind of angry. That's why I had the shitty feeling.
Mhm,
So it's
mhm.
it's like my tennis training this week. Last week I was able to like do so well and I really thought, "Oh, I'm progressing and all that." And this week like magic disappeared and I just couldn't do it anymore and I felt very very frustrated. I was almost
Mm.
crying. I was like, "How can I be deprogressing if I'm practicing more and stuff?"
Right, right.
So, yeah, and then my coach just, comforted me and told me, it's like really normal in tennis and maybe in life too. It's when you made some progress and then like you will go down again and you felt like
Mm.
you were going down, but actually you were preparing to go even further or like higher up again. So that
Right.
it's not like always a linear process. You have like the spirals and that before you can go up. And I feel like that's maybe what we need to understand. Like anything could happen in this world, in this universe. And
Mm.
it's not like a linear function. If you're just giving X in input, you will for sure get Y in the output, right?
Right,
That's how
right.
we grew up with. But in the real world, in reality, it's much more complicated and it's like a black box. So I think I
Yes.
I should train myself to get used to things I don't have control over because nothing is like linear. And even though sometimes you're giving your best shot, your best try, your true heart or whatever, if it's not there, it's just not there. I wouldn't say a failure. I don't know. Like in Chinese, there's this saying like you're feeding your true heart to a German Shepherd dog. Well, there's no German Shepherd in the saying. I invented it. And also they don't eat hearts, just kidding. But you know what I mean. So, but yeah, I guess it's good to like understand that sooner than later in life so you don't get like
Mm.
so devastated.
Could you explain the phrase a little bit more? Like, maybe, like I'd love to hear you say it as well, but then also kind of explain the meaning of it.
Oh, it's just 真心为了狗. Like
Mm.
真心 is your true heart and
Yeah.
喂 is feeding, 狗 is the dog. Like you're giving your heart to someone but he's like tossing it to the dog for the dog to eat it.
Ah, I
That
see.
kind of
Yes.
idea.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I see. So it's kind of like this idea like you can be genuine and really try to be like authentic, but then you never really know what someone is going to do with it. Like you never really know how it's going to turn out anyway.
Hi, normal people. This is Shufei. Thank you guys for listening to our very first episode. Sorry we have to cut awkwardly here as our conversation went way longer than we imagined. Next episode, I will be sharing a more melancholic breakup letter with Glenda and talk about how I will always be a lover girl. See you in the next one. Good night.